My name is Marcus Webb, and I learned something important at 2:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. You can survive on very little sleep if you have to, but eventually your body stops asking permission. The bass hit again, not music, just bass. The kind that travels through walls and floors and settles into your chest like a second heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. I'd been counting, 47 minutes straight. I lay there in my bed, staring at the ceiling, doing the math I'd done 100 times before. 6 hours until my shift at the hospital. Medical imaging doesn't forgive tired hands or unfocused eyes. One mistake, one missed detail on a scan, and someone's diagnosis gets delayed. Or worse. The bass stopped. I waited, counted to 60, started to relax. Then it started again. That's when something changed. Not anger. Anger is loud and temporary. This was quieter, more permanent. This was the moment I stopped hoping things would get better and started planning how to make them better. My neighbor's name was Kyle Brennan, 26, worked irregular hours, loved his sound system more than he loved sleep, or courtesy, or the lease agreement he'd signed 9 months ago when he moved in above me. I'd tried talking to him, twice. The first time he'd apologized, said he didn't realize the sound traveled, promised to keep it down. That lasted 3 days. The second time he'd been less apologetic, told me sound was subjective, said I should try earplugs, closed the door while I was still talking. I'd complained to building management. They'd sent him a warning letter. He'd ignored it. They'd sent another. He'd ignored that too. Apparently, unless someone was cooking meth or keeping tigers, building management preferred to avoid conflict. I understood their position. I even sympathized with it. But sympathy doesn't help you sleep. The bass finally stopped at 3:15 a.m. I didn't sleep after that. Just lay there, listening to the silence, thinking about sound ordinances and lease violations and the exact wording of our building's quiet hours policy. By the time my alarm went off at 6:30, I'd made a decision. Not revenge. Revenge is emotional. This was going to be systematic. I was going to solve a problem the same way I approached everything else in my life. Carefully, thoroughly, and with extensive documentation. I've worked in medical imaging for 8 years, radiology specifically. My job is reading what others miss. The shadow that's slightly darker than it should be. The density that's a fraction off. The small anomaly that everyone else scrolls past. Details matter, precision matters, and most importantly, records matter. People think medical imaging is about big, obvious things. Broken bones, tumors, clear problems with clear solutions. But the truth is different. The truth is in the gradual changes, the slow shifts, the patterns that emerge when you compare today's scan to last month's scan to 6 months ago. That's what I'm good at, seeing patterns, building cases from small pieces of evidence. I live alone, have for 6 years since my divorce. No kids, no pets, just me and my routines. Morning coffee at 6:45, work from 8:00 to 4:00, gym 3 times a week, groceries on Thursdays, laundry on Sundays. I'm not exciting, I know that. My ex-wife mentioned it frequently. But routines aren't boring. They're efficient. They create space for the things that actually matter, and they provide structure when everything else is chaos. My apartment is small, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, kitchen that's technically big enough for 2 people if they don't both try to use the stove, but it's mine. Or it was supposed to be. The building is old, not charming old, just old. Built in the 70s when noise regulations were apparently suggestions. Thin walls, thinner floors, the kind of place where you learn your neighbor's schedules whether you want to or not. I'd lived here for 3 years before Kyle moved in. 3 quiet years. The previous tenant upstairs had been a retired teacher. She watched television at reasonable volumes and went to bed at 9. Kyle was different. Kyle treated the apartment like a recording studio or a nightclub, or sometimes both. I documented everything from the start, not because I planned to do anything with it, just because that's what I do. I notice things, I keep track. I had a notebook, small, spiral-bound, kept it on my nightstand. Every time the noise started, I'd write it down, date, time, duration, type of noise, how loud it felt. By the time I decided to take action, I had 9 months of documentation, 217 entries, an average of 1 incident every 1.2 days. That's a pattern. That's not bad luck or coincidence. That's behavior. And behavior, I'd learned from 8 years of medical imaging, can be measured, quantified, proven. What people don't understand about noise is that it's not just annoying, it's cumulative. One night of disrupted sleep is manageable. Your body compensates. You drink extra coffee, you push through. 2 nights in a row is harder. 3 is when you start making mistakes. After a week, you're not yourself anymore. Your patience thins. Your focus fractures. Simple tasks take twice as long. After 9 months, you're someone else entirely. I'd started making errors at work, small ones, nothing that harmed patients, but I'd noticed them later, reviewing my reports, seeing the places where my attention had slipped. A measurement off by a millimeter, a notation I'd forgotten to add. My supervisor hadn't said anything yet, but I knew she'd noticed. She noticed everything. That's why she was good at her job. I'd stopped going to the gym, too tired, started eating worse, fast food instead of cooking, gained 12 pounds. My doctor mentioned it at my last checkup, asked if everything was okay at home. I'd said yes, because what else do you say? My upstairs neighbor is loud sounds petty, childish, like something you should be able to handle yourself. But the truth is, chronic sleep deprivation changes you. Studies show it affects decision-making, emotional regulation, immune function. It's not petty, it's physiological. I'd started drinking more coffee, then more. By month 7, I was up to 6 cups a day. My hands would shake sometimes during scans. I'd have to pause, wait for the tremor to pass. My ex-wife called once during this period. We didn't talk often, just occasional check-ins, making sure neither of us had died. She'd asked if I was okay, said I sounded different, stressed. I'd said I was fine, work was busy, that was all. She'd paused, the kind of pause that means someone wants to say more but doesn't know if they should. Then she'd wished me well and hung up. That pause stuck with me because she was right. I wasn't okay. I was functioning, but functioning isn't the same as living. The noise had taken something from me, not just sleep, something harder to name, peace, control. The basic right to exist in my own home, without someone else's chaos bleeding through the ceiling. And I wanted it back. Kyle made his first mistake on a Saturday morning, 7:15 a.m., power drill. Not for 5 minutes, for 2 hours. I lay in bed listening to the drilling. Steady, mechanical, relentless, occasionally stopping just long enough for me to think it was over, then starting again. I waited until 9:30, a reasonable hour, then I went upstairs. He answered the door shirtless, covered in drywall dust, music playing loud enough that I could hear it from the hallway. "Hey," he said, not apologetic, just acknowledging my presence. "The drilling," I said, "it's pretty loud." He looked at me like I'd stated something obvious. "Yeah, man, installing shelves should be done soon. It's before 8 a.m. Building quiet hours are until 8 on weekends." He laughed, not meanly, just like I'd said something mildly funny. "Dude, it's almost 9:30, I waited." "You started at 7:15. He blinked. "How do you know that?" "Because I was awake, because the sound woke me up." He shrugged. "Sorry, man, but I've got to get this done today, got plans later." "The lease says." "Look," he said. His tone hadn't changed, still friendly, still dismissive. "I get it. Old building, thin walls, but I live here too. I'm allowed to do stuff in my own apartment. During designated hours, not during quiet hours. I'll try to keep it down, he said. Then he closed the door. The drilling started again 30 seconds later. I went back downstairs, made coffee, opened my notebook, wrote down the incident, date, time, duration, his response. Then I did something new. I pulled out my phone, downloaded a decibel meter app. Not perfect, but good enough for preliminary measurements. The next time the drilling started, I measured it, 78 decibels, then 82, then 75. I didn't know if that was legally significant, but I knew it was data, and data could be used. That afternoon, I went to the hardware store, bought my own sound meter, a real one, professional grade, calibrated, the kind that would hold up if anyone questioned my measurements. Cost me $200, I didn't care. This was an investment. That night the bass started at 11:47 p.m. I measured it, 68 decibels from inside my bedroom, consistent, lasting until 1:23 a.m. I didn't go upstairs, didn't bang on the ceiling, didn't do anything except measure and record. Because I'd learned something in my years of medical imaging. Sometimes the best response to a problem isn't immediate action, it's thorough documentation. First you gather evidence, then you build your case, then you act. Building management's response came in an email. Brief, professional, useless. Thank you for your continued concerns regarding noise issues. We have sent additional correspondence to the tenant in question. Please let us know if the situation does not improve. Additional correspondence, as if words in an email could stop bass at 2 a.m. I called them, spoke to Brenda, the property manager. She'd worked there for 15 years, had heard every complaint imaginable. Mr. Webb, she said, her voice was kind, tired. I understand your frustration, but unless the tenant is violating specific lease terms, our options are limited. He is violating lease terms. Section 12, subsection C, quiet hours, 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. on weekdays, 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. on weekends. I'm aware of the policy, she said, but enforcement requires documentation of repeated violations. I have documentation, 9 months of it. She paused. Personal documentation isn't always sufficient. We'd need independent verification. What does that mean? It means we'd need other tenants to complain, or we'd need to witness it ourselves. Your word alone isn't enough to terminate a lease. I let that sink in. My word wasn't enough. 9 months of disrupted sleep, 217 documented incidents, didn't matter because I hadn't recorded it correctly. What would be enough, I asked. Multiple complaints from multiple tenants, documented violations witnessed by staff, or involvement of local authorities. So if the police were called, that would count. If it resulted in citations or violations, yes, that would establish a pattern of behavior contrary to lease terms. I see, I said. Thank you for clarifying. I hung up, opened my laptop, started researching. Municipal noise ordinances, county regulations, state law, case precedents. It took 3 hours, but by the end, I understood exactly what was required. The city had a noise ordinance. Section 1889 prohibited unreasonable noise between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. Unreasonable was defined as any noise exceeding 55 decibels when measured from the property line or adjacent residence. Violations were handled by code enforcement, not police, code enforcement, which meant civil penalties, not criminal. First offense, warning. Second offense, $250 fine. Third offense, $500 fine. Fourth offense, court summons. I'd been approaching this wrong. Building management couldn't help me, wasn't their job. This was a municipal issue. I needed code enforcement involved. which meant I needed undeniable proof that violated specific regulations. That night, the music started at 11:15 p.m. I measured it from 3 locations in my apartment. Bedroom, 63 decibels. Living room, 59. Kitchen, 57. All above the legal limit during quiet hours. I didn't sleep. I recorded timestamps, measurements, duration. I even recorded a few seconds of audio on my phone, not that I could submit it as evidence, but to remind myself later that this was real, that I wasn't being unreasonable. The music stopped at 2:47 a.m., 4 hours and 32 minutes, a new record. The next morning, I filed my first noise complaint with the City Code Enforcement Office. Online form, required address, date, time, description of violation. I included everything: measurements, duration, specific ordinance section violated. Then I waited. The code enforcement officer showed up on a Wednesday afternoon. I wasn't home, but Kyle was. I know this because Kyle came down to my apartment that evening, knocked on my door, hard. I opened it. He stood there, arms crossed, face red. "Did you call the city on me?" "I filed a noise complaint," I said. "Yes." "Are you serious right now? You went to the city instead of just talking to me." "I've talked to you twice. It didn't help. So you try to get me fined." "I'm not trying to do anything except sleep in my own home." He laughed, angry laugh. "Dude, you're being ridiculous. It's music. Everyone plays music." "Not everyone plays music at 63 decibels at midnight on a Tuesday." "You measured it." He looked genuinely surprised. "What are you, some kind of psycho?" "I'm someone who works 40 hours a week and needs sleep. That's all." "You know what? Fine. You want to play it like that? Fine. I'll file complaints about you too, see how you like it." "For what?" "I'll think of something." He went back upstairs, slammed his door hard enough that I felt it through my floor. I closed my door, locked it, made a note in my log, date, time, direct threat to file false complaints. The code enforcement officer had left a notice on Kyle's door. I'd seen a photo of it online when I checked the complaint status. Official warning, first violation, explanation of ordinance, information about future penalties. It wouldn't stop him. I knew that. First violations never stopped anyone. They just made people aware that someone was paying attention. But that was fine. I wasn't trying to stop him immediately. I was building a case, slowly, methodically. The next night, the bass started at 1:15 a.m., louder than usual, 71 decibels. I measured it, recorded it, submitted another complaint. The night after, it was 11:47 p.m., 68 decibels, another complaint. Then 12:23 a.m., 65 decibels, another complaint. I filed 8 complaints in 12 days, each one documented, each one measured, each one time-stamped and recorded. Code enforcement showed up twice more. Each time, they left notices, warnings escalating to citations. The second violation came with a $250 fine. Kyle stopped knocking on my door, stopped making eye contact when we passed in the hallway, started turning his music down the moment he heard footsteps outside his door. But he didn't stop, not completely, just adapted, made it quieter, less frequent, trying to stay below the threshold that would trigger another complaint. He was learning. That was good, because so was I. The property manager called me on a Thursday. Her tone had changed, less sympathetic, more annoyed. "Mr. Webb, we need to discuss your ongoing complaints about Mr. Brennan." "I'm not complaining to you," I said. "I'm filing municipal violations with code enforcement." "Yes, and it's causing problems." "For who?" "For the building. We have a tenant threatening to break his lease due to harassment. He's claiming you're filing frivolous complaints." "They're not frivolous. They're documented violations of City Ordinance 1889. Mr. Brennan says you're measuring sound at unreasonable times and exaggerating readings. Mr. Brennan is playing music above 65 decibels between midnight and 2 a.m. multiple times per week. That's not exaggeration. That's fact. She sighed, long, tired. I'm not questioning your facts, Mr. Webb. I'm saying this is escalating into something problematic for everyone. It became problematic 9 months ago when he moved in and started ignoring quiet hours. I'm just the first person to document it properly. Other tenants haven't complained. Other tenants don't share a floor with him. I do, and I'm entitled to peaceful enjoyment of my residence. That's in the lease, Section 4. Another pause. I'm asking you, tenant to tenant, to try to resolve this without involving the city. I tried that twice. He closed the door in my face. What do you want, Mr. Webb? What's your end goal here? I thought about that, carefully. I want to sleep, that's all. I want to finish a work week without counting how many hours I've lost to someone else's music. I want to stop making mistakes at work because I'm too tired to think straight. Have you considered moving? The question hit harder than I expected. Why should I move? I haven't done anything wrong. I'm not saying you have. I'm suggesting that sometimes the easiest solution is removing yourself from a difficult situation. I've lived here for 3 years. I have a lease. I have rights. I shouldn't have to move because someone else can't follow basic rules. No, she said quietly. You shouldn't. But sometimes what should happen and what actually happens are different things. We ended the call. I sat there staring at my phone, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, clarity. She was right. What should happen and what actually happens are different. The world doesn't run on fairness. It runs on documentation, leverage, and persistence. I had all three. That evening I drafted a formal letter, not to building management, to Kyle directly, certified mail, return receipt requested. The letter detailed every violation, every measurement, every complaint filed. It referenced specific lease clauses and municipal ordinances. It offered one final opportunity to maintain building quiet hours voluntarily. And it concluded with a simple statement. Continued violations will result in further legal action as permitted under city and state law. I mailed it the next morning, got confirmation of delivery 3 days later. The bass stopped completely for 5 days. Then on day 6 it came back, 1:34 a.m., 72 decibels. I measured it, documented it, and filed another complaint. This time, code enforcement issued a court summons. Kyle knocked on my door on a Sunday morning, 9:00 a.m. I'd actually slept through the night for once. I opened the door. He looked different, tired, stressed, less angry and more defeated. Can we talk? He asked. Like actually talk. I stepped aside, let him in. We sat in my living room, him on the couch, me in the chair by the window. I got the court summons, he said, for the noise violations. I know. You know, he laughed weakly. Of course you know. You're probably tracking everything I do at this point. Just the things that violate city ordinance, I said. I don't care what you do during legal hours. He rubbed his face. Look, I didn't think it was that serious. I thought you were just being sensitive, but I looked it up, looked up the fines, the penalties. This could actually mess up my life. It's been messing up mine for 9 months. I know, I get it now. I work weird hours. I don't sleep normal times. And when I'm up, I just want to listen to music. Relax. I didn't realize how loud it was for you. I told you twice. Yeah, he nodded. You did, and I dismissed it. That was wrong. I waited, didn't say anything, waited to hear what came next. What do I have to do to make this stop? He asked. The complaints, the court date, all of it. Follow the lease terms. Respect quiet hours. Keep sound levels below 55 decibels between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. That's it. That's it. And if I do that, you'll stop filing complaints. If you follow the rules, there won't be anything to complain about. He sat there thinking, what if I move? That's your choice, but I'm not asking you to move. I'm asking you to follow the same rules everyone else follows. It just feels like you've been coming after me, like this is personal. It's not personal, it's practical. You're violating municipal law. I'm enforcing it, that's all. By filing a complaint every time I make any noise. By filing complaints when you violate specific ordinances. I have timestamps. Measurements, all of it documented. I'm not exaggerating, I'm not lying, I'm just recording facts. He looked at me, really looked, like he was trying to figure something out. What do you do, he asked, for work? Medical imaging. Like X-rays. Among other things. He nodded slowly. That makes sense. You're detail-oriented, precise. You probably document everything. Yes. And I'm the guy who ignores emails and plays loud music at 2 a.m. Yes. He laughed, not happy, just acknowledging reality. This was never going to go well, was it? It could have if you'd followed the lease, or even just responded to the first warning, but you didn't, so here we are. He stood up. Okay, I'll keep it down for real this time, no more violations. Good. And if I don't, he wasn't challenging, just asking, what happens? The court date proceeds, you get fined. If violations continue, fines increase. Eventually, building management will have grounds to terminate your lease. All because of music. All because of repeated violations of both lease terms and city ordinance. Music is just the vehicle. He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. You ever think maybe you're being a little obsessive about this? I considered the question. Seriously. No, I don't think wanting to sleep in my own home makes me obsessive. I think expecting everyone to accommodate your schedule while you ignore theirs makes you entitled. He didn't argue, just left. The court date was scheduled for a Tuesday at 2:00 p.m. I took the afternoon off work. First time I'd used personal time in 8 months. Kyle was already there when I arrived, sitting in the hallway outside the courtroom. No lawyer, just him. He looked up when I walked in. We made eye contact. He looked away first. The hearing took 12 minutes. The city attorney presented the case. 4 verified violations, 3 confirmed citations, documentation including decibel readings and timestamps, photos of violation notices. Kyle's defense was simple. He admitted to the violations but said he didn't realize they were serious, promised to comply going forward. The judge was a middle-aged woman. She looked tired, like she'd heard 100 cases just like this one already that week. She asked Kyle if he understood the city ordinance. He said yes. She asked if he planned to continue violating it. He said no. She asked me if I had anything to add. No, Your Honor. I just want the violations to stop. She nodded, looked at Kyle. 4 violations. That's a pattern. I'm issuing a formal order requiring compliance with City Ordinance 1889. Any future violations will result in escalating fines and potential criminal charges. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. And Mr. Webb, she looked at me. If violations continue, document them and file immediately. The court takes noise violations seriously when they're properly substantiated. Yes, Your Honor. Case closed. She signed something, we left. In the parking lot, Kyle caught up to me. You won, he said, not angry, just stating fact. Nobody won, but maybe it's over now. You really did all that just because of noise. I really did all that because you wouldn't follow simple rules, and because I was tired. He nodded. I get it now. I didn't before, but I get it. Good. He started to walk away, stopped, turned back. For what it's worth, I'm sorry, really. I should have listened the first time. Yes, I said, you should have. He left. I stood there in the parking lot, feeling something unexpected. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just quiet relief. It was over, or at least it would be, because now there were consequences, real ones, legal ones, the kind that couldn't be ignored or dismissed. I drove home, parked, went up to my apartment, made coffee, sat by the window and just listened to the silence. It was 4:30 p.m., golden hour, light coming through the windows at that perfect angle that makes everything look better than it is. For the first time in months, I felt calm. That night I went to bed at my normal time, 10:30 p.m., lay there in the dark waiting, listening. Nothing. 11:00 p.m., still nothing. Midnight silence. 1:00 a.m. I was still awake, not because of noise, just because I'd gotten so used to being woken up that my body didn't trust the quiet. 2:00 a.m. Sleep finally came, deep, uninterrupted, the kind of sleep where you wake up and can't remember dreaming. My alarm went off at 6:30. I woke up feeling something I hadn't felt in months. 3 months passed. Kyle kept his word. The noise stopped, not completely, but enough. During legal hours, he could be loud as he wanted. I didn't care. After 10:00 p.m., it was quiet. The kind of quiet that makes you forget there's an apartment above you. I stopped measuring sound, stopped keeping the log, not because I trusted him, but because there was nothing to document. My work improved, the errors stopped, the shaking hands steadied. My supervisor noticed, mentioned it during my review, said whatever had been affecting me seemed resolved. I told her I'd been dealing with a sleep issue. Medical, it was handled now. She nodded, didn't ask more. Good supervisors know when not to push. I started going back to the gym, lost the 12 pounds I'd gained, started cooking again. Small things, but they added up. One Saturday morning, I saw Kyle in the parking lot. He was moving boxes into a truck. I walked over. Moving, I asked. Yeah, got a new place. Ground floor, better for my schedule. You didn't have to move. He laughed. I kind of did, not because of the complaints, just I thought about what you said, about rules existing for a reason, and I realized I was being that guy, the one everyone hates. You weren't that bad. I was, and you were too polite to say it. He closed the truck, turned to me. Hey, I never said this properly, but thank you. For taking you to court. For not giving up. For showing me that actions have consequences. Most people would have just moved or suffered in silence. You didn't. You stood your ground. That takes guts. It just takes documentation, I said. He smiled. Nah, it takes more than that. Anyway, sorry again for everything. Water under the bridge. He drove away. I stood there, watching the truck disappear down the street, thinking about persistence and patterns and how small actions accumulate into change. A new tenant moved in 2 weeks later, couple in their 30s, worked from home, liked plants, quiet. I saw them in the hallway once, introduced myself, mentioned that if they ever had any issues with noise, they should document everything, timestamps, measurements, the whole process. They looked confused but nodded politely. I hope they never need that advice, but if they do, they'll know where to start. People ask me sometimes if I regret how I handled things, if I think I overreacted, if maybe I should have just bought better earplugs or moved or learned to live with it. The answer is no. Because sleep isn't a luxury. Peace in your own home isn't something you should have to negotiate for or compromise on or surrender because someone else can't follow basic rules. I didn't seek revenge. I sought enforcement of rules that already existed, of rights I already had, of standards that were written down and agreed upon by everyone involved. I didn't yell, didn't threaten, didn't do anything except document violations and follow proper channels. And it worked, not immediately, not dramatically, but steadily, systematically, the way most real solutions work. Sometimes I lie in bed at night in the quiet and think about those 9 months. The exhaustion, the frustration, the feeling of helplessness when nothing seemed to change. And then I remember that it did change, because I made it change, not through luck or fate or someone else's mercy, through patience and documentation and understanding that systems exist to be used. That's the real lesson, not about noise or neighbors or building management, but about agency, about the difference between hopping things will get better and making them better. The world doesn't owe you fairness, but it does provide tools, rules, systems, processes, and if you're willing to use them properly, to document everything, to follow procedures exactly as they're written, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. My apartment is quiet now. Most nights, the only sound is my own breathing and the occasional distant traffic noise that reminds me the city is still out there, still moving, still full of people living their lives at volumes they find acceptable. And that's okay, because I'm living my life too, at a volume that works for me, in a space that finally feels like mine again. Sometimes peace isn't loud or obvious or dramatic. Sometimes it's just the absence of what was wrong, the quiet return to normal, the simple gift of sleeping through the night. And sometimes that's victory enough.